Hello to everyone. Welcome again to my YouTube channel Maths Plus. So today I am here to discuss a specific topic from geometry portion that is related to only angles. So we know different types of angles like acute angles, obtuse angles, right angles, straight angles, complete angles, zero angle. So these were the angles we got to know types of angles, how many are they and what are they. But here some of the names I have written here like which is related to your class 7 and 8 portions. So this will be helpful for class 7 and 8 students, those who are solving some questions related to angles. So here I have written from beginning I will be discussing like the first one is complementary angles. So what do you mean by complementary angles? Let us see. So I have written here angle A plus angle B. This means I have written here measure of angle B A and measure of angle B. If it becomes 90 degree, then what I can say? Angle A and B are complementary angles. So I am writing here, since the sum of the two angles is equal to 90 degree, so I am writing here angle A and angle B are what? Complementary angles. That means what? Only those two angles will be complementary if their sum is 90 degree. That's all. Only two angles will be choosing, two measures of the angles. So then we can don't think that three angles will be said to be complementary. Like I'll say angle A, B and C will be complementary. Wrong. Only I have to choose two angles whose measures will be given and their sum will be 90 degree. Not more than two angles. So here also the next one is supplementary angles. So let me take angle X and then I'll add angle Y and it becomes how much? 180 degree. That means what I wrote here, sum of the two angles, sum of the measures of two angles is becoming 180 degree. That's why what you can say here, angle X and angle Y are supplementary angles. Hope this is clear. Yes or no? So like I have written here angle A plus B is equal to 90 degree and angle A and B are complementary angles. Here also what happens? Angle X and angle Y whenever added, that becomes also 180 degree. And here I will be saying them angle X and angle Y are supplementary angles. So now see, after complementary and supplementary angles, so I will be discussing other angles like adjacent angles. So these are like pair of angles we can say. So let me draw a figure, then I will explain. So this is the figure. And I am naming it as A, B, this is C, this is D. So you can see BD is a common arm. Can you see this? BD is a common arm. And you see of which two angles? Like ABD and CBD angle. And I have got two angles here, like let it be, I'll be naming it as angle 1 and angle 2. So now angle 1 and angle 2 are adjacent angles. What is the reason behind that? So three reasons are there. So what are the conditions? I'll say angle 1 and angle 2 or angle ABD and DBC are adjacent angles because the first condition has to be fulfilled, that BD is a common arm. BD is a common arm of which two angles, angle ABD and angle DBC. Then which vertex is common? I can say B is the common vertex. So I will say B is the common vertex. And third important condition is what? BA and BC are again two arms or not? But these are what? On either side of the common arm. Common arm is which one? BD. So I'll write here RBA and RBC are on either side of what? BD, which is the common arm. That's why what I can say, angle ABD and angle CBD are what? Adjacent angles. Just remember the figure and the three conditions applied here. Again, I am discussing adjacent angles means what? Two angles are said to be adjacent, or in this figure, ABD is adjacent to angle CBD if BD is a common arm, yes, it is fulfilled. If B is the common vertex, yes, it is the common vertex. And again, you see BA and BC are what? Are on either side of the common arm BD. BA is which one? BA, this one, and BC is this one. They are on what? Either side. That means one on the left hand side of the common arm, another is on the right hand side of the common arm. So that is known as either side of BD. If these three conditions, if one of the conditions will be failing, then those two angles will not be adjacent angles. That's why three conditions has to be fulfilled. कॉमन आर्म होना चाहिए, कॉमन वर्टेक्स होना चाहिए, और जो नॉन कॉमन आर्म्स है, तो दीज आर व्हाट यू नो, BA and BC, these are non-common arms which are on either side of the common arm. If they will be on the same side of the common arm, they will not be adjacent. If that's the reason you have to apply these three conditions. Okay, I think this is understood by you all. Then come to linear pair of angles. So the figure will be like this, and we know this is a straight line, isn't it? So now another arm I have drawn here. So let this straight line be named as PQ, and if I have drawn another arm here, so O is the vertex of two angles formed here. You can see. So now you see OR is a arm drawn here. Anywhere I have marked on line BQ, and O is named as the point of this arm. Okay, so now you see how many angles are formed? Two angles are formed again here. So you see some similarities are there, isn't it? So here, like you see from this portion, like this, if you go, then it will be what? It will be representing a straight angle. But here you see, you are not getting a straight angle. Okay, that means that is the only difference. That means why it is a straight angle here in this figure, because PQ is already a straight line. So whatever angles I am taking, I will be adding the angles. Then I will be getting what? The sum of the measures of the angles as 180 degree. That's why you see here 1 and 2 angles, if added also with their measures, that will be always 180 degree. Okay, but why it is a linear pair of angles? Why not supplementary angles? Because supplementary angles cannot be like this. They are what? This is a condition. Matlab here is the measure, that is 60 degree. Another will be like this, 120 degree. So these two angles are supplementary. But I cannot say they are linear pairs. But here these angles are supplementary, and another condition is there due to which they are linear pairs. So let us see. What is the condition? So here also I will be considering two angles are said to be linear pair. That means I will say POR, angle POR and angle QOR are linear pair if they are adjacent angles and supplementary also, isn't it? They are adjacent or not? Because here is the common arm OR, common vertex is O, and you see OP is the arm and OQ is the arm. So these OP and OQ are what? Non-common arms and are on either side of the common arm. So adjacent angles conditions are also fulfilled. And even angle 1 and 2 are supplementary, because if you add them, that will become 180 degree because they are formed on a straight line. So POR and QOR are linear pair if they are adjacent. They are adjacent or not? They are adjacent and supplementary too, or and are supplementary. So here the two conditions are fulfilled, isn't it? they are supplementary and they are adjacent angles also. That's why what I can say, therefore angle POR and angle QOR are what? Linear pair of angles. Linear pair of angles. So this is also again an important property, because if this angle is given and you are asked to find out the angle measurement of angle 2, then you can use this property. Okay, these are linear pairs, that means they are supplementary. So we'll be discussing questions related to these topics in my next video. So next comes to, I hope adjacent angles, linear pair of angles understood. So next come to vertically opposite angles. So how are they formed? You can see on a plane, either the two lines will be intersecting or they will be parallel, isn't it? So now I have drawn here two intersecting lines. So I will be naming them as what? L and M. And here the point of intersection will be P. So how many angles are formed here? 4 angles are formed, isn't it? 4 angles are formed. So what are they like? 1, 2, 3 and 4 angles are formed, and P is the what? Point of intersection, you can say. So 4 angles are formed and P is the point of intersection of which two lines? L and M. So here you can see angle 1 and 2. I will be considering again two angles or pair of angles. So if I consider angle 1 and 2, they are forming a linear pair or not? Yes, because they are formed on a straight line M. But angle 1 and 3, you see, they are not linear pairs. Even they are not directly linked to each other. They are linked in such a way that they are vertically opposite angles. So what are the conditions to be fulfilled here? Two angles are said to be vertically opposite angles if they are not adjacent angles, isn't it? Or we can say, we can think of what? Are not supplementary. Related to your what? Linear pair conditions. Okay, that means you see linear pair nahi hona chahiye. If linear pair, then that will be supplementary. That's why they should not be 180 degree and they are not adjacent angles. So in these two ways you have to figure out the things from this figure. Okay, they are not adjacent angles, or you must see they are not supplementary as in case of linear pair. That's why I can say which are the vertical opposite angles here? Angle 1 and 3 and angle 2 and 4. Angle 1 and angle 3 are vertically opposite angles, and angle 2 and angle 4 are vertically opposite angles. And the property related to them is what? Very important property. If I will be discussing here, just I am making some space here. So I can say if the vertically opposite angles are equal to each other, that means here angle 1 or measure of angle 1 is equal to measure of angle 3 always if they are vertically opposite angles. And even I can say measure of angle 2 is equal to measure of angle 4 if they are vertically opposite angles. Always they will be equal to each other. So this is an important property related to what? Vertically opposite angles. I looking little bit complicated, but these are the basics of geometry. If you don't know these things, then it will be very difficult to approach these things in higher classes. The terms, definitions, each word is important, each property is important, even drawing the figures also very important. Geometry means you have to draw the figure, you have to understand the figure, and you have to extract the information from the figure also with namings, particular namings. Don't try it from your own. If in the question it is given some particular names, you have to mention those names. So don't go by your own theories and all. So you have to follow these properties and attempt the questions. I hope this much is understood. Next important topic is angles related to two parallel lines and its transversal. So parallel lines means what? So this is the parallel lines case. If I say these two lines are here, line P and line Q, these two lines are parallel. You see, these two lines are parallel. If I say, that means these two lines never intersect each other, even if they are extended in opposite directions endlessly. That's why this line will be what? Parallel lines. Okay, so this is the concept of parallel lines. But the thing is that how to discuss these angles, that is corresponding angles, alternate interior angles, alternate external angles, then co-interior allied angles. So such and such angles will be discussing, and these in this also these angles are also involved. That's why I am discussing this, then this. Okay, so you see here what to do. So let us draw two parallel lines here. So line P and line Q are two parallel lines. I have given the symbols here. You see double arrow mark. That means they are parallel to each other. So here I am mentioning that line P is parallel to line Q, isn't it? So this is the parallel line symbol, and I will be drawing one transversal. So you can see this transversal, and you must remember the transversal definition also. The transversal, this line is said to be transversal if I say this is R. This R, line R is the transversal. So you see PQ is parallel, P and Q are parallel lines, and R is a transversal. Why do I say this is a transversal? Because this is a special line which is intersecting these two lines at two distinct points. What are they? They are these points. Like let the naming be A, and here the naming be B. So R is a transversal to P and Q at A and B. Understood? In this way you have to remember, and you have to see from the figure. This is transversal at which points to these parallel lines. So R is a transversal to P and Q at A and B. Now corresponding angles I have to mention. So let me erase this A and B. Otherwise I cannot write the names of the angles. So like you see here, how many angles are formed, and here also how many angles formed. So total you see 8 angles are formed. So I am naming this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so these 8 angles are formed, and from this figure, how to know these angles? Where are these angles? Okay, the first of all, corresponding angles. So which are the corresponding angles? Corresponding angles, to locate the corresponding angles, you have to see how many angles are like on the left hand side of the transversal and on the right hand side of the transversal. On the left hand side of the transversal you are getting 1, 4, 5 and 8, these angles. On the right hand side you are getting angle 2, angle 3, angle 6 and angle 7. So from the left hand side you see, you have to remember that corresponding angle means the angles you have to choose from the same side of the transversal. So if I consider from the left hand side, what are the angles? Angle 1, angle 4, 5 and 8. But I have to choose two angles such a way that they are corresponding to each other. So I will be choosing here angle 1 and angle 5 are corresponding to each other. Why? Because they are on the same side of the transversal and not adjacent. Because you see angle 1 and 4 are adjacent on the same side, but they are adjacent. That's why I will not consider angle 1 and 4. Okay, and another important thing is one exterior angle and one interior angles. That I have to also choose. So two conditions I have to remember. The two angles are said to be corresponding angles if they are on the same side of the transversal and are not adjacent, plus though one will be an interior angle and another will be an exterior angle. So interior angles means what? Which are the interior angles? Angle 3, angle 4, angle 5 and angle 6 are interior angles. Then exterior angles are what? Angle 1, angle 2, angle 7 and angle 8 are exterior angles. So that's why you see angle 1 is an exterior angle and angle 5 is an interior angle, and they are also not adjacent. That's why angle 1 and angle 5 are corresponding angles. Similarly, I am going on writing the pair of angles. Angle 4 के साथ angle 8 is corresponding. Then there are 4 pairs actually. The angle 2 के साथ angle 6 is corresponding. Then angle 3 के साथ angle 7 is corresponding. And special property related to this is what? Corresponding angles are equal to each other when if two parallel lines are there. Therefore, I am writing here they are equal to each other. That means the corresponding angles are equal to each other. That means I can say measure of angle 1 will be equal to measure of angle 5. Measure of angle 4 will be equal to measure of angle 8. Like that, angle 2 will be equal to angle 6. Angle 3 will be equal to angle 7. Only when these two lines are parallel and this is the transversal. But namings of the angles will be different, and accordingly you have to choose the angles. The always numberings will not be given. For understanding purpose, for discussing here only I have given some numbers. The angle namings will be also different. Capital letter namings will be there. So you have to choose accordingly. But these are the things you have to remember how to identify. If you got to know how to identify, then you can easily write the name of the corresponding angles. Then comes your alternate interior angles. What are they? See, interior angles I have written. Alternate ho and interior ho. Alternate matlab one from the left hand side of the transversal, another from the right hand side of the transversal. One is what? Like I will say 4 and 3 can be alternate interior angles, but a condition apply. They should not be adjacent. That means two angles are said to be alternate interior angles if they are interior angles and not adjacent. That's why what I will choose. Angle 4 and 6 will be alternate interior angles, and angle 3 and angle 5 are alternate interior angles. So there are two pairs of alternate interior angles and they are also equal to each other. That means what? Measure of angle 4 will be equal to measure of angle 6 and measure of angle 3 will be equal to what? Measure of angle 5. Similarly, I will be saying here about alternate exterior angles. The exterior angles means what? Which one? The exterior angles 1, 2, 7 and 8 are what? Exterior angles. But here alternate name is there. That means one from the left hand side, another from the right hand side of the transversal. That's why I will be choosing angle 1 and 7. And that too they should not be adjacent. So some conditions you have to remember. The angle 1 and 7 are alternate exterior angles, and angle 2 and angle 8 are what? Alternate exterior angles. That's why you see these exterior angles are alternate exterior angles. Okay, that's why what you can say about the property, they are also equal to each other. They are also what? Equal to each other. So these are the properties I am writing. Whatever I am writing, they are equal to each other. Here also they are equal to each other. Here also they are equal to each other. These are the properties of corresponding angles, alternate interior angles, alternate exterior angles. If conditions should be there, two lines should be parallel and there is a transversal, then only we can think of this property. Otherwise, never think. Next is the last important property is related to your co-interior allied angles. So what are these actually? So this is again the definition is already written here. Interior angles on the same side of the transversal. Can you see this? Which are the interior angles? Angle 4, angle 3, angle 6 and angle 5. But condition is what? on the same side of the transversal. So what are they? They are angle 4 and angle 5 are co-interior angles. Then another is angle 3 and angle 6. These two angles are what? Co-interior allied angles. And important property is what? They are supplementary. That means angle 4 के साथ angle 5 अगर add करोगे by measurements, then you will see they are always 180 degree. That means if they are parallel ends only, then only. Okay. So I can say here they are supplementary. That means if the sum of those two angles I will be taking, then I will be getting what? The sum is 180 degree. Okay. So this is the important property of this co-interior allied angles. And you can easily extract the names of these angles from the figures, and you can relate the properties to these angles. I hope whatever I have discussed today, let me again brief it. The complementary angles, then supplementary angles, adjacent angles, linear pair of angles, vertical opposite angles, angles related to two parallel lines and its transversal, which are like corresponding angles, alternate interior angles, alternate exterior angles, and co-interior allied angles, or we can say interior angles on the same side of the transversal. I hope this basic knowledge would have enchanted you, and you must have gained some or recall those things again in your mind. So this will be helping you in solving many questions, even many difficult questions also, which are related to these angles and its properties. Okay, so I'll be winding up this class. I hope this video will be liked by you all. Have a nice day, all of you. Thank you for watching my video, and please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Thank you.